to be?
1000%. I do believe I grew up next door to the Zodiac.
What makes you so sure that he is the Zodiac killer?
I did talk to his wife. The first words out of her mouth was, Gary's a very bad man, and I'm sorry I didn't tell the cops about what he has done.
When it comes to crime cases and serial killers, I don't think there's a case more mysterious than the Zodiac killer. Due to the clues and riddles left behind and no true suspect confirmed to be the actual Zodiac killer, there leaves a lot to the imagination. But what if I were to tell you the FBI had a prime suspect this whole time, but due to pride and ego, there was a massive cover-up? You are now within minutes of horror, and your only chances of survival is hitting that like button. With that being said, let's continue on with the video. In the late 1960s, young people in California were terrorized by a serial killer who called himself the Zodiac in letters to newspapers where he bragged about ending the lives of young couples out on dates and warned of many more. As the number of homicides rose, the letters included 4 mysterious ciphers which were so difficult to crack, 2 remain unsolved, and 1 was not solved until 2020 by amateur codebreakers. News of the Zodiac killer captured the nation via newspapers, magazines, and broadcast TV in the days long before cable television and the internet made it easy. Because of the taunting letters and ciphers, the manhunt was intense during the time of the slangs between December 1968 and October 1969, and investigations by various police departments, the FBI, and amateurs continued long after the killer stopped sending letters in 1974. Yet, over 50 years later, the killer has never been found, and only one suspect was publicly named by authorities: Arthur Leigh Allen, a former elementary school teacher and convicted sex offender who died in 1992. However, a team of over 40 detectives, journalists, and military intelligence officers calling themselves the Case Breakers issued a report in 2021 identified one Gary F. Post as the Zodiac killer and provided photos, proof of matching scars identified by witnesses who survived, and other evidence. But now they may be forced to. The organization announced that DNA was found on what is described as a 30-year hiking mat once owned by Gary F. Post. Even bigger and more damning was the announcement that a whistleblower revealed that Post had been secretly listed as the Zodiac suspect in FBI computer files since 2016, and his partial DNA has been kept hidden at the Fed's Quantico, Virginia lab. So that does beg the question, have the Casebreakers broken the case and exposed an FBI cover-up at the same time? In a detailed 20-page press release, the Casebreakers reveal all the evidence that they had found pinning the Zodiac killings to the late Gary F. Post. He died in 2018. Starting with their DNA evidence, they started with the 30-year hiking mat, which was confirmed to have been once owned by Post. The Casebreakers then located the town where Post was born and located at least one blood relative who was willing to provide a DNA sample. Casebreakers and the University of Maryland Team CSI Chief Tom Morello gave the DNA samples to Towson University Director Kelly Elkins for testing, and Elkins confirmed that there was a high probability that the person who owned the mat was a close relative and quite probably Gary Post. As we speak, the Casebreakers are now attempting to compare the mat's DNA with the mystery hairs found in the clenched hand of 1966 murder victim Sherry Jo Bates, who is not one of the original set of victims, but was later suspected to be one of the 49 possible murders linked back to the Zodiac killer. Now, you may be saying to yourself, outside of a hiking mat that was found next to the Zodiac killer's victim, what else do they have on Post? Between 2014 and 2016, neighbors in the One Street town of Groveland, where Post was from, quietly approached authorities with the goods on Post, revealing his dual identity, DNA, photos, cryptic writings, and a secret escape map. But the FBI, the San Francisco Police Department, and Riverside Police Department chose instead to whitewash the citizens' efforts and downplay their credibility in the media. The feds also seized a briefcase with all of their evidence. And while a great deal is not known about Gary Post, we do know he was a member of the United States Air Force who had a very violent past.
He would be aggressive and with Mary, hit her at times if she made dinner the wrong way.
So much so that Post's daughter-in-law, Michelle Wynn, also accused him of being the Zodiac serial killer. Miss Wynn claimed she had moved away from California for her own safety against Post. Another relative called the authorities, accusing Post of trying to end his life with a hammer, but that call went ignored. With also a history of domestic violence, in 2016, Post pushed his wife Mary, then age 74, into a wall and broke her pelvis in 4 places. This incident led authorities to place Post in a mental health facility, as he was found to be too mentally incompetent to stand trial. Had he gone in front of a jury, Post could well have served time in prison. But despite the evidence given by neighbors, the intense violent history, California police have refused to draw a link between Post and the Zodiac killer. The FBI says the case remains open and unsolved. The Case Breakers press release lists a timeline of events beginning with the revelation that the FBI, San Francisco Police Department, and Riverside PD all knew about this DNA evidence back in 2014, along with other strong evidence like photographs, cryptic writings, and maps provided to them by the friends and neighbors who all suspected that Gary Post was the Zodiac killer. And not just all the evidence, but the physical similarities between the Zodiac killer and Post, including even the same scars on the forehead. Case breakers now say that the FBI and the police departments chose to cover up this evidence based on the testimony of an anonymous whistleblower who was told about the DNA evidence by Tom Colbert, the head of the Case Breakers. Colbert revealed to the whistleblower that the evidence was given to the FBI and others by Post neighbors. It was not found by an investigation. When the whistleblower went undercover and checked with his own sources in the FBI, they told him Post had been considered a suspect since at least 2016, but the evidence was suppressed, and that begs another question: why? Well, it appears the cover-up may have been due to the fact that the DNA evidence was given to the FBI and the police, and it would be embarrassing to admit that all their years of investigations never found it first. Now there is an anonymous team member from the Case Breakers who located Post blood relatives, obtained DNA samples, and after consulting with specialists from 4 other universities and 2 private labs, determined a likely match. The Case Breakers press release states that these results will be shared with the Riverside PD for analysis and comparison to the victim Sherry Bates and the hairs that she clenched onto. I will keep an update on this case, so make sure to subscribe. It does look like the Case Breakers are onto something here, especially with all the evidence that the neighbors had and did come forward with. Even though Post is not alive, many of the victims' family members still are, and they do want their justice. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like, as any engagement does help the channel grow. Once again, thank you so much for your support.